After years of watching me and my friends completely fail, I started to wonder, what is the best scientific way to text girls? At first, I stumbled upon those guru techniques, but I knew they wouldn't work for the average guy like you and me. Therefore, I had to expand my research in social psychology and biology. Now, when it comes to texting girls, the first step is to find the right opener. And that, my friends, depends a lot on the scenario you are in. So I'm going to talk about the most common ones. First, she's a random girl from Instagram. Now, very importantly, never just slide in her DMs with a simple and boring hi. There's a thing called the principle of psychological reactance, which says that we absolutely hate when people try too hard to enter our lives. So wait until she posts a story, then say something about her outfit, the background, or things like that. It's smoother and it's also good for creating an early conversation flow. Second, she's your classmate. Here it's pretty easy. Just ask for the homework or some notes. Then make a comment about the teacher. This will give you two common subjects to talk about. And third, she's part of your friend group. This is an opener I actually used to do. Before you guys go out, ask her how she's dressing. Now, she might hit you with a big why. When this happens, tell her that you asked because you don't want to be underdressed or overdressed for the meetup. After she gives you the answer, compliment her outfit, especially if she sends you a picture. Say something like, "I love that t-shirt," or "I love the colors." If there are any other situations you'd like me to talk about, let me know in the comments. After this part, we have to identify how interested she really is. How can you do that? Well, after the opener, continue the conversation, but keep it basic and see what her messages look like. If she leaves you on scene, her interest is basically 0%. If she takes longer periods to respond and her messages are pretty cold, her interest is between 0 to 25%. In both of these cases, you should give up. The effort is not worth it. But if she responds pretty fast and you two have a great conversation ratio like this, and not this, her interest is between 25 to 50%. As average dudes, that's pretty much the best starting point we can get. Yet, in order to really get somewhere with her, you need to level up to around 75 to 100%. But how? Well, the next step is to have a great base conversation. What does this mean? You have to create a sense of familiarity between you two without becoming boring. And there are a few strategies that I found just for this.
Number 1. Don't use closed answers.
If she asks you something like, "How are you?" never, and I mean never, say something like, "I'm fine," because that's how you kill a conversation. Be specific in your answers. Say something like, "I watched this movie about parrots," and give more details. That will give her more room to continue the conversation. But you may be asking, what if she gives you a closed answer like, "That's nice"? Well, then you say something related to the thing you're doing. For example, say something like, "I love parrots. What's your favorite animal?" Number 2, create dopamine hooks. Basically, you have to leave the conversation on a cliffhanger so her brain can release dopamine while thinking about you. You can do that pretty easily by saying something like, "I got a crazy story about my parrot, but I gotta tell you that one in person." Number 3, activate her mirror neurons. You see, texting can become pretty emotionless, especially because you two don't see each other's faces. But you can add more emotion by using captions, multiple letters to certain words, and even emojis. But when it comes to emojis, be careful and don't overuse them. And number 4, maintain the typing bubble effect. Turns out we often get a bigger dopamine hit when we see that someone is typing rather than when we actually get their message. So instead of taking more time to respond, take more time to actually press send. Now, if you do all those things right, her interest should actually level up to 50 to 75%, which is pretty good. At this point, you will no longer be the one who always starts the conversation. She'll respond even faster and will take more interest in your life. But this score will also put you in a very dangerous zone, because here you can make the same mistake as one of history's most powerful man, Napoleon Bonaparte. At his peak around the year 1810, Napoleon Bonaparte controlled most of Europe. Yet he was horrible at texting, aka sending letters. Don't believe me? Well, take a look at what his letters used to look like. It's crazy. Even though he had the world at his feet, he managed to lose the most important person in his life, his own wife. Moral of the story? Don't turn needy. Because bro, we know how lonely life gets sometimes, and how important that one girl can become in such a short time, but if you cross the line, you'll lose her. On the other hand, you can't keep things the same way. If you do that, she'll just put you in the friend zone. So you have to move to the next part and put her in a high emotional state. Now, here's the deal. You can only do this during the night. Why? Well, studies have shown that people are more open to emotional conversations in the evening because their cortisol, the stress hormone, naturally drops. Plus, to have a deeply emotional conversation, you two need to have an extended period of time without distractions, which is less likely to happen during the day. Now, if you made it here, I guarantee she will eventually open up about something that frustrates her, scares her, or negative things like that. Very important, you don't want to play it safe. Otherwise, you'll lose all the progress you've made. Let me give you an example. When I was still in the talking stage with my ex, one night she started to tell me how rough the last couple of days have been for her, so my answer was, "Damn, if I were there, I would hug you right now." Her response was something like this. And my friend, when you get this answer, you know that you've won. Her interest is now between 75 to 100%. But even though her interest in you has reached the maximum potential, you will not get anywhere if you don't ask for a date. I know, easier said than done, especially because when you do that, there's no coming back. So you have to do it the right way. But how? By using something called the deal closing sequence. This technique is made up of 3 parts: qualifying, confirming, and closing. So instead of randomly asking her out midway through the conversation, bring up some things that you want to do in the near future, see which one of these activities seems fun to her, and then ask her to join you. And with that, you just got your first date with her. A big step for your relationship, yet with that, there comes a lot of other problems that you will have to deal with. Fortunately for you, I know the video that will solve them all.